July the 22nd through to September the 4th, the goddess of money and love and beauty and kindness and peace, her name is Venus, is going to move into retrograde motion in the sign of Leo. She's doing this in a way we haven't seen her do since 2015, June through October. We're going to talk about what this might mean for you based mostly on your rising sign. You can listen for your sun and moon sign secondly. We're also going to talk about a couple of minor asteroids that are on display on the day of her turning retrograde, which is going to be on July the 22nd at 28 degrees of Leo, where the asteroid Circe, the ancient witch of Greek mythology, and Panacea, the remedy or cure for everything, is acting in concert and harmony with this retrogradation. What in your life can you cure with deep intuitive knowledge, wisdom, and magic? Cast your spells. We're going to do a webinar on this magical onset of this particular Venus retrograde, which lasts about 40 days, right, until September 4th. If you want to join my webinar, it's on Venus Day, July the 21st, and you can sign up in the description box below. It is free, and we're going to go into a deep dive. It's going to be a 90-minute webinar. You're going to learn a lot of stuff about how to understand the Venus star point cycle. You're going to learn how to look back at the past and look at these cycles in the sky. You're going to learn a little bit about where Venus was when you were born, and we're going to talk all about Venus, basically. It's going to be quite a lovely deep dive. You want to come to that webinar equipped with your natal sky. If you don't know how to cast your chart in whole sign houses or even to find your rising sign, check my description box below where you can look at my how to cast your chart in whole sign houses free video tutorial in my description box, okay? If you're new to my channel, my name is Lori Lothian. I am using the Western Tropical Zodiac. This is not sidereal astrology. I'm using whole sign houses, and I love the minor asteroids because the devil is in the details. Unfortunately, I would love to see you for a reading, but I'm currently booked out until next April. But there is a wait list in the link below in my description box under this video where you can get on the wait list, in which in August I'll be opening up new spots for the fall and the spring of 2020. Fall of 2023 and the spring of 2024. Now let's get going, shall we? First of all, let's just discuss this whole Venus concept, and I'm going to share the sky with you so that you can see this, and there will be timestamps and there will be chapters to jump ahead to your sign. But I really encourage you to listen in here because this is such an interesting version of Venus retrograde. And it's just interesting to have Venus in Leo from June the 5th to October 9th, let alone retrograde in the middle of it all, because this time around, she's making contact with Uranus in the sign of Taurus for the first time since like the 1930s. And so this is something new that you haven't experienced unless you're quite old. And as well, she's making contact with Jupiter with Uranus, which is even more rare. So this kind of combination of Jupiter making contact with Venus is called a square while she's moving through Leo. This didn't occur in 2015's Venus retrograde through the part of the sky that represents Leo. So you're experiencing this in a way that is not the same exactly at all as 2015 June through October, because you did not have Uranus and Jupiter in Taurus in a square to this Venus cycle, nor did you have Chiron in Aries in a trine to this Venus cycle. This is its own special flavor. But you might want to go back to the summer months of 2015 to compare what might be also thematically reoccurring. Alrighty? So first of all, a couple of things. I'm going to show you the sky, and you'll know what I'm talking about because we're looking at the sky together. I've taken out a lot of stuff. Oh, by the way, if you are new to my channel as well, please hit the like button and subscribe, bell for notifications. Check my description box for everything I offer besides the webinar, like my newsletter, like my Patreon community, who's getting this video ahead of time, being recorded for them on July the 8th, and you guys will get this afterwards. They get it ad-free, early access, etc. for $5 a month and up to 2 meetings a month with me. So this sky is showing you a few things. I'm going to annotate for you so you can see what I'm pointing to. Let me get the annotation button up and running, and then we'll get started. So first of all, as you can see, there is Venus. That's what she looks like, and she's stationing or stopping or appearing to stop at the 28th degree of tropical Leo, Western tropical zodiac, which is not the same as sidereal, nor is it the same as a real sky. This is a symbolic zodiac. And as you can see, this 28-degree station on July the 23rd, I should say July the 23rd at 12:17 a.m., but it depends on your time zone. It will be July the 22nd in different time zones. So let's just say July the 22nd for covering everyone. You can see that she's paused in the sky. She's not moving here because she's got what we call stationary, as she appears to no longer be moving, and is going to then go retrograde, which means she's going to move backwards through Leo. Now, she's been in Leo since June the 5th, okay? And as she sits here in the sky, you can also note that she will come into a relationship with Jupiter and Uranus, who are sitting together in the sign of Taurus. And that connection as she retrogrades is called a square. It is a 90-degree angle. It is tense, and it incites decisions and actions in our lives. That's a symbol for a square. Technically, squares are not the easiest thing in the world, but they do prompt us to action, decisions, momentum, and change. They're the nature of Mars. And you can also see that she's in a flow. That's a flowing relationship to Chiron, the wounded healer. This brings us a kind of a healing vibe. That's a symbol for a trine, which is a 90-degree aspect in nature of Jupiter, which brings luck and opportunity and positive things. So you can see that as she moves through Leo, she will be connecting with Chiron, she'll be connecting with Jupiter and with Uranus. Because I do videos for all of these big events, if you subscribe to my channel, you'll get an all signs breakdown for each of these events. For example, on July 2nd, August 9th, and September 29th, those are the 3 dates that Venus does this square to Uranus, direct, retrograde, and direct. And then on June 11th, behind us, and August 22nd coming, and then September 17th, that's our 3 touch points in the sky with the planet Jupiter. Yes, there are 3 points of touching Jupiter in a square because she retrogrades, and the middle one on August 2nd is a retrogradation. I should say August 22nd. We're going to do a whole content video on that as well. So if you want to join my channel, you'll get all that in great detail, including what it means for all signs. Now, as she is also in this place on the day of the 22nd of July or 23rd, depending on where you live, she's making a really lovely grand trine, which is extremely positive, in the sky to 2 minor asteroids. All right. This thing called a grand trine, excuse my terrible cursor attempt to make a beautiful triangle in the sky using my cursor on my laptop with 1 finger, but that's a trine. That's called a grand trine, and it is exceedingly flowing, easy, lucky, and positive, and is the nature of Jupiter on steroids. Lots of good things happen when a grand trine is in formation in the sky. I'm going to be right back in a minute. Well, maybe I won't go away. I'll continue, but I got something in my eye, so that's annoying as all heck. And you know, guys, I'm the real astrologer, so I'm just going to get up, come back, and I'm not going to pause the recording. Really, honestly, it's just not worth it. Hang in there. I'm back. So there you go. 5 seconds to teardrops and get something out of my eye. Alrighty. So honestly, I don't know how to interpret this exactly because it is minor asteroids, but I like them and they seem to work. Circe is about spell casting. She was the witch of Greek mythology, put on an island by herself. Best friend was Mercury. She had a lover. I think it was Odysseus. The gods were afraid of her. She was isolated, but she was powerful, and she could cast spells. Like she turned Odysseus' men into swine to avoid basically what would have been some kind of gang rape situation. You know, she was saving herself, and she could tell the future, and she could forecast and prophesy. So the witchy ways are active with this Venus as she goes retrograde. She is stationing retrograde as well on Black Moon Lilith. Let me draw that in there. And that also gives it more of that sort of intense feminine quality, because also the feast of Mary Magdalene is connected to Black Moon Lilith. And I'll just trust me, she's right there. She's an apogee, or whatever. She's a point in the sky that has to do with the moon's travel. It's a mathematical point, and it has to do with the first wife of Adam, the disqualified feminine, the demonized feminine, has to do with the powerful, independent, feminist feminine as well. And the Feast of Mary Magdalene is on the 22nd of the month of July, and that's also a very sacred divine feminine. So we have a lot of divine feminine going on here. Why is women rising or something? So Venus, trining the witch, the powerful female witch. And they're all flowing in a trine as well to this little asteroid, Panacea, the remedy for everything, the cure for everything. Okay, so what is the panacea? What is the remedy? What is the cure for something in your life? Certainly with Chiron there in the sign of Aries, I think that's what we're going to focus on as I delineate the all signs. And I will save the Jupiter-Uranus square to the individual videos and the 3 passes. What I like about this particular onset is like the inception of Venus moving backwards in Leo between the 22nd of July and September 4th is baking in an onset to do with the divine feminine, the witchy ways, and something to do with what needs to be healed in the Aries part of your sky. And there's a remedy for everything, a cure for it all. And you may discover that cure during her retrogradation. Now, the other thing I want to say about Venus retrograde is this. She is activating 2 other houses in your sky, and we'll talk about that. She is activating the place of Jupiter in the sense that Jupiter's in her house, right? So you might want to talk about Jupiter living in her house, her Taurus house. And so when she goes backwards, things that also pertain to your second house not second, that's for Aries, to your Taurus house may be playing out. And because she also has the south node of fate and destiny moving through Libra, which is her house, that part of your sky will also be activated. So we'll be talking about the Libra, the Leo, and the Taurus part of your sky, and we'll give what is this intuitive divine feminine healing with the panacea, the remedy for everything about where Chiron sits in the Aries part of your sky. Now, because I'm doing 12 signs, settle in, get a tea, get a bit of chocolate, grab a glass of wine, because it's going to take me a while. Why? Because I've got that many signs to do. I'm going to keep the wheel up, but I'm going to stop the annotation. So let's get rid of the annotation first, because it's just cluttering it. Well, I haven't figured out how to get rid of it without stopping the share. So I stopped the share, and now I'm going to talk to you for 5 more seconds, and then we're going to go back and do each sign. I don't want to do this as a mundane video about the collective. There's many things I can say about the collective, but I'm not going to do that on this video. This is really just for you based on your sun, moon, and rising sign. Now, as I said, there is a webinar. Please sign up for it. I may be also giving you a free gift in that webinar. Look in the description box below for what the giveaway is. And also, I would like to share one of my fellow astrologers' retrogradation classes in that webinar if you wish to sign up for it. It's one of the most amazing 40 days with a master astrologer diving deep into the retrograde as a group of people go through this course together. I may have her on my channel. Her name is Louise Eddington. Before the actual class. So all that is possible. So just check in with the description box for all the details, okay? So let's get talking again about the sky. And I realize I'm not plugged in. It's just my luck. Alrighty, let's get going, and we're going to start with Aries. And please don't forget to hit the like button if you're in the live premiere and you're one of my regulars, especially. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you guys. All my favorites, like One Rare Bird, Misbehaving, L.A. Taylor, Stephen the Jupiterian, Feral Writer, Herbal Empress, Crystalline Alchemist, and more. Jupiter 8, Jupiter with a Message. Did I forget anybody? Mercury with a Message, Stephen the Jupiterian. These are like lovely people from around the world who come to all of my live premieres and are so helpful because they hit that like button during the premiere and it helps the channel grow. You can do the same. If you're new, I would appreciate it, because if you're watching the live premiere, I'm chatting with you in the chat box. Okay, let's go and take a look at the sky together again. And we're going to go through all signs in a swift and speedy manner, but I'm going to cover a lot. I do talk quickly. If I'm too fast for you, guess what? There's a slow down playback button on all YouTube for everybody, and you can just slow me down. You don't have to have me yattering away at you in such a way that it actually annoys you, right? And you can just slow me down. What I'm doing here as well is I'm going to be talking, as I said, about the various elements in the intro. Now we're going to go through all signs. And that is, by the way, Hermes, like a version of Mercury that Venus will square at the onset too, but we're not going to cover that today. That's for a mundane video for the world, but I'm going to be using that. But I also want to say that I want to show you that she's going to actually actually make that connection to Chiron. And I'm going to show you by just advancing the sky. That's often the easiest way to do it. So you get to see the sky as a moving vehicle, right? She's moving backwards. Chiron has like been in the sign of Aries since 2019, and he's not going anywhere soon. So you begin to see this trine to Chiron becoming active in the middle of August. So you can sort of say, hey, August 13th, that is, 4 or 5, 6 days on either side, we're going to see this event occurring. In fact, if we go up by one more day or 2 more days, there we go. So around August 15th, so you can give it about, I'd say about 5 days on either side of August the 15th. That's where this healing potential activation begins to emerge from whatever that divine big grand trine is on the onset, in which she's connected to the Panacea asteroid co-present with Chiron. By the time August comes along, Panacea has moved on into the sign of Taurus of no matter. It's beginning to open up a remedy or a cure energy in your Aries house. So we just want to stick with the basic fundamentals of that, right? The inception of the retrograde. Now we're going to start all over at the beginning and start the Aries rising first, right? Aries rising, Aries sun, and Aries moon. We have Venus here. Rising will be most accurate. Please listen to your rising, but the others can do as well. All right, Aries, what's going on here is that Venus is going to retrograde, as she did in 2015, June through October, in the house of romantic love, children, things to do with your creative projects and entrepreneurship at a very basic level. All I'm saying is this is the area of your life that's on stage. What are you going backward on? Are you deepening an existing romantic relationship? Are you rethinking whether or not you want to have children? It's the house of children. Are you going back to beautify something to do with a creative project, or to deepen your entrepreneurial success and how you make money through your entrepreneurial endeavors? All for fifth house matters. And this will be true as she retrogrades on the 22nd of July through to September the 4th, because she's forming a beautiful triangle with the witch and the spellcaster in your 9th house of God, and with the cure-all and remedy for everything in the house of your health and body. What kind of magical spell could be set into motion through spell casting, visioning, affirming, praying to God, even whatever that Circe is doing up in the house of God, connected to a remedy for everything that ails your identity. This can be Chiron saying, it's time to see yourself with a greater power and strength as a being of great creative power, because Venus is in the house of creativity and the muse. And is no longer being disqualified for your creativity, and maybe feeling like you have, been even rejected for it, as you become more available to some kind of remedy around your creativity and your identity, or your romance and sexuality and your identity. And, the house of God is very active, but it's also many other things. It's book publishing. It has to do with foreign lands and travel. It has to do with third marriages. So all these energies are being activated in a flowing trine at the beginning of this retrograde, but it kind of bakes in a very beautiful theme that will probably be in play until September the 4th. Certainly with Chiron in the first house, you may be trying to heal some identity, non-belonging, feeling like a black sheep or something, parts of your life. And even a lot of you, Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising, have had health challenges since 2019. I can attest to that as an Aries, Sun, and Moon. And you're really coming up with the cure-all or the remedy. Not to be trite, but it could be gluten, It could be the one thing that you shouldn't be doing that remedies everything, especially with Venus being the lord of what you put in your mouth. Alcohol, cigarettes, food, etc., that you may find a one-size-fits-all remedy. More fish oil, no gluten, get off of the dairy, whatever it is. Quit the cigarettes, stop the wine. I would also add to that the other areas of activation are, of course, your 2nd house and your 7th house, because that's her homes. So, I go back over what brings you joy, creativity, pleasure, inspiration, and enthusiasm, and what lights you up entrepreneurially or creatively. And it's going to help you reform and make new opportunities and erratic and exciting and exhilarating changes to the way you make money, and also to your significant relationship life. With the South Node in your 7th, a soulmate relationship can begin if you're single. An existing relationship can deepen, but there's some flow from Venus to the South Node in the house of marriage. Some of you may be discussing marriage, whether you can afford to get married with the 2 and 7 active axis, but some of you Aries are looking at actually going, okay, let's surrender. We need to get married. Let's figure out the way to make this happen. Or you may be having some legal contracts for creative projects coming into play that are going to fortify your finances in a very successful way, but you need to make changes in the way you make the money or the way you earn that money. Because of Uranus in your 2nd house until 2026, this is a long-standing rags to riches transit, and with Jupiter there, this could be a very strong time of financial increase as Venus retrogrades. Now, technically, you might even say that this could last 4 years. I won't go into that. You'll find out in the Venus webinar if you come to my 90-minute webinar class on Venus Day, July the 21st. Replays available. Check the description box for signing up for free. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. If this is your sky, you are a Venus-ruled individual, and Venus is important to you. When she retrogrades, you pay attention. She would do what she did in 2015, June through October again, and she's retrograding in the house of property, home, land, and real estate. My daughter's a Taurus, and she moved during that time because I moved us to a new place to live, if I remember correctly. And well, let's put it this way. Venus is retrograding in the 4th house, and that means a change of home or homeland possible for a lot of Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign people. If you want to look at it this way, love in the home is going backwards as well. Maybe you're going to come into a time where you beautify the home differently as well. You may redesign, you may repaint, you may change the beauty within your home, go back and do something that you've done before again in the home. Like, I used to have purple walls, I want them back. You know, it's time to revise, revision, and re-beautify. A woman from your past can spend some time living with you in your home. Is that literal sometimes? Now, with this placement, Venus forms a grand trine in the sky that opens up the witch Circe in the 8th house of witchery. You can't get any better than a witch in a witch house up here in your 8th house. And that witch is talking to Venus in your 4th house of the ancestors, mother, home, and homeland, and things to do with property and real estate. Because witchy houses energy can be about mortgages, bank loans, and other monies like that are unearned but resourced from other people. You could be looking at some real estate property money flow, but you're going back. So is it like to buy a house you used to have, to try to sell the house you couldn't sell already? If so, use that spell casting witch in the house of witchery and occult mysteries in a flow to the cure for everything, the remedy for all that ails you. Chiron in your 12th house can be the end of your self-sabotage, self-undoing, and addictions. It can truly turn things like that around for you for a very long time. You may be getting ready to let go of those addictions and no longer be constrained by them. But on the other hand, if it's connected to the 4th house, is it ancestral addictions? You come from a family of lushes or vape smokers or cocaine addicts. You may be turning around a very deep family story around addiction, self-undoing. But also this is all monetary energy as well. And some of you may come into some good financial developments to do with real estate. Yet in some of the momentum won't be available until September 4th and onward. You can also see that now that I think of my Taurus daughter, I think what happened then wasn't real estate, it was something else. So I digress. I'm trying to think of Taurus people I know for what they were doing in 2015 to October 2000, June to October. Moving on, the other 2 houses involved in this Venus activity, okay, are your 1st house of your body and your identity and your physical well-being, plus also your Libra house, which is all about your work routines and health, pets, and tenancy agreements. Certainly with Venus retrograde, you could renew a lease, go back to rent a place you've had before, get a new pet to bring home, get your pet that you really wanted for a long time returning back to you for some reason. But it's also about the health. With Libra, South Node transit here. Some of you may feel like you have to really look at your health more clearly, pay attention to what does make you healthy and what prevents you from being sick. And so Venus is helping fortify that through changes in your home, maybe air purifiers, getting rid of toxic mold or paints, who knows. You also have that Jupiter part of the sky. You are lucky, Taurus. Jupiter's moving through you. You have luck and goodness all over you until in May of next year, 2024. But with Uranus and Jupiter both here, Venus is paying attention to your body, to your health, to your wellness, to your identity. There's a square. You need to take some kind of action, and you might have to do it quickly, and you may have to do it with a lot of maybe erratic, unpredictable, or even just outside the box health protocols. I should make that bigger for you. I apologize. Health protocols that look like you may be engaging in new health protocols and elements to increase your physical well-being from July 22nd to September 4th. Yes, I did go by day instead of going by hours. I apologize. I've been doing that for a bit here. Are you a Gemini, sun, moon, or rising sign? If you are, this is the energy of, and don't forget to hit my like button. This is the energy of your Venus retrograde, last seen in June of 2015 through to October 2015 in your third house of siblings. Sometimes extended family like cousins and aunts and uncles and the whole crew. Also connections to travel short distances and writing, and also your online world. Venus retrograde here can make you go back over that, see a sibling or an old childhood friend you haven't seen for a long time. You may also go back during that July 22nd to September 4th and travel to places you have been to before but have yet to revisit, and now you're revisiting them. You also may find that you have a desire to renovate, revise, and beautify your online social media or websites and things to do with the online world. If you're single, this can bring dating into your life with somebody from the past, but through travel, through local community. And you might meet somebody that's very much a soulmate connection in that local pub or restaurant. Those are your neighbors and neighborhood things in the third house. The retrograde Venus tends to bring more of a deeper soulmate energy in, but remember, she will go direct on September 4th. And so something starting under a retrograde Venus may be short-lived. Also, you can see that you have this energy of the Circe, the witch, in the house of marriage and significant relationships and audience and marketplace and clients. You could be very witchy or bring a very witchy person into your life over the course of this retrogradation. And at the same time, Chiron and the Panacea cure for everything is heating up here. It's going to be mid-August that Chiron and Venus really touch down, but there is the onset here, the beginning of something you want to heal in your larger groups of friends and friendship circles. You may also want to heal your own dreams and wishes and revise those. You may have felt like an isolated loner or you don't belong in your friendship groups for quite a while, even since 2019. And now you're going to heal that sense of not belonging to a larger community of some sort or within the circles of friends. That's something you'll be working on during the time of this retrograde. Also, elder sibling relationships and siblings in general can become to a greater healing, a greater connection over the course of the retrograde. Now, as I said, Venus has two houses that she's in charge of. She's in charge of your Taurus house. She's the dispositor for it. She rules it, and she's in charge of your Libra. So she's also saying here some significant changes that need action and decisions, but yet can bring opportunity and exhilaration in your sense of revenue from foreign countries, especially with the third house. If you have an online business, wowzer, you're revising how you make money from online international sources perhaps, but you can also revise during this retrograde how you undo yourself, how you sabotage yourself, how you F your life up. Maybe it's about addictions, maybe it's about self-sabotaging behaviors, I don't know. Some of you will turn that around. Maybe through learning, guiding, mentoring, or getting into rehab, for goodness sakes. You also can see that you have a witchy Circe, that you also have your fifth house playing out Okay, so this is your children. You may have to pull away from a child, but it's a positive thing. Like I have my progressed son in Gemini, and I'll be traveling, and I will be away from my daughter, who I spend a lot of time with. You may also be having to surrender and release something to do with sexual energy or romantic energy during the time of the retrograde. Okay, July 22nd to September 4th. And that makes sense for me as a progressed sun in Gemini in many, many ways. But again, Venus is a benefic, and she's flowing to the south node in her other house. And so she's just dispositing something positive. You may come into a time of deep action around and deep flow in a creative writing or art or any kind of creative inspiration or project, especially if you use the online world or it's something you're doing in the local neighborhood during the retrogradation. She's kind of suggesting as well a time in which you may come into some more reflection about what your natural skills and talents are, ones that you might not even have experienced in this life that come from other lives, and how you want to use those talents in a third house way. Third house is writing, communicating, divining, scrying, and being an oracle. Lately, I've been doing a lot of more psychic direct material in my client sessions, and that's a talent I have, and I use all through my 30s. And maybe I'll be becoming more of a psychic reader straight up instead of just an astrologer, or only an astrologer, who's to say. Or I might channel a book yet again, giving you examples. All right, if you are a Cancer sun, moon, and rising sign, this is a story, rising sign most accurate, that you experienced in 2015, June through October, and it is back. It's different, of course, but it's back. Venus is retrograding in your money house, and as a Cancer rising, you're revising, rethinking, and redoing your money strategy. She's a money goddess in a money house. You may change your food style. You may think, oh, no, I thought I wanted to be a vegan, but now I want to be a carnivore. Who knows? She's going to go back to bring you new pleasurable ways of eating and also imbibing things through your mouth. You can also revise your appearance to your teeth, your jaw, your face, but you want to be careful. Do not do plastic surgery or anything significant cosmetically while she's retrograde. Wait till she's in direct motion after September 4th through to October 9th for the most auspicious teeth, face stuff. Now, also a retrogradation in your second house of speech might mean you're taking something back on your word, or saying you had said something and now you want to take it back. Who would you say it to? Somebody you live with, perhaps? We'll get to that in a minute. Also Cancer rising, you have that trine between the witch in your sixth house of livelihood, Circe, the spellcasting witch, and the cure-all for your career path. It means Chiron mid-August is going to really offer up a money reputation cure, and you may be healing something to do with how you're visibly working in the world and financially gaining money. But you can also see this baking in of some kind of cure or remedy through the witchy quality of you, the spellcasting, psychic forecasting side of you in the sixth house of livelihood, flowing into the money story as well. So it looks like you might be witching up something, looking for your more spellcasty Circe, the fierce witch of Greek mythology, in order to amplify your money. At the very least, do a spell, do a money spell if you are a Cancer rising. You can also count on Venus to talk about the fact that she's owning that fourth house where the south node is. She dispositor of it. That could mean that you're getting ready to sell a house over the next couple of years, 18 months at the very least, as the south node moves through here. And Venus is trying to persuade you of the strategy around letting go, releasing, or surrendering a property, especially if your IC in whole sign houses floats in the fourth house or is in Libra. And you may also be thinking of going back to an older property or home or homeland, and going back to connect with maybe family of origin. The second house can be the people you grew up with, and maybe during the retrograde, reconnecting with some of the people you had in your childhood and your family of origin as it pertains to home and homeland as well. You have Jupiter and Uranus squaring Venus. Sure, we'll do a whole video, but it's in her house, and it's up there at the 11th house of great gains. So obviously, to me, she's going back, she's trundling backwards in your earnings and resources house to help you come up with a new strategy to execute after September 4th to bring you greater bounty and greater gain from your career of choice. And you may also be experiencing this after September 4th, is an expansion of your friendships into exciting and exhilarating new groups of belonging and friendships, and also a beneficial aspect to a sibling that may come through a difficult action, conflict, decision point, but will benefit you if it's an older sibling. Look for that too, July 22nd. How can an older sibling help you prosper and revise your finances? That might be in play for a lot of you who are Cancer rising, or benefactors or allies who can help you prosper, friends with benefits financially. All right, moving on to Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. We have this Venus retrograde in the house of you, last seen in 2015, June through October. That wasn't the retrograde, that was her whole time through your Leo house. There's a whole video on that already in my playlist, but anyway, you get the idea. Now, as she retrogrades here this time around in your first house, what you're experiencing here is a renovation of your identity and your appearance and your wardrobe and your cosmetics and your hair, perhaps going back to an old haircut. Be careful here. Don't do anything brand new. Don't go, I'm going to get my hair purple for the first time, not in a retrogradation. But you're also revising how you feel. You're turning inward. You're taking your charm and popularity and natural conviviality that you experience really June through September, and you're turning it inward. And you may be like, deeply looking at yourself, how you care and love for yourself, how you find true joy rather than pleasure, how you source joy in your life. And then you're also looking at the fact that she is in a trine to Circe the witch in your house of the muse, inspiration, children, and romance. And she's also connected to what will cure you all. What's the cure-all, which you're diving into mid-August, for that which ails you in the ninth house of God. Well, it could be you need a new spiritual philosophy, a new meaning of your life, a new dharmic path. You may be healing a father-father relationship, and or you may be healing something to do in a third marriage environment, or something to do with your education, especially academics in higher learning settings. And you're really resourcing a new healing. It may compel some of you to go back to school by the time this is over in October and look at the idea of re-education, but in alignment with a natural skill, a talent, or ability. You note that Venus is a dispositor or owner of your third house of siblings, and a lot of you Leos are having sibling issues, but positively flowing, as though you look at a way to let go of some of the things that have troubled you with siblings. South Node, Libra. You may be letting go as well of some plans around short travel or short distance travel. You may also be desiring to go deeper into a letting go around your connection to online events, social media, your website. You may be retiring, pulling back and pulling away from all of that online noise for some reason in order to feel better about yourself between July 22nd and September 4th. As well, you can see that she is Venus, the dispositor or ruler of your 10th house territory, and Jupiter is in her house with Uranus, a very rare thing, not seen for a long time. We'll be diving into the details of this in the webinar, especially the 3 squares to Jupiter and Uranus. So come on, sign on up. We're doing it on the 21st of July, Venus Day, and it's 90 minutes and it's free. So I think here, Venus is saying, how do you love yourself enough to have great bounty and a sudden expansion and even prosperity in your career and reputation zone? Because really you're looking inward for the deepest answers to that question. You don't really care now about what people think of you when Venus is retrograde. You're thinking more about how you love you. Whether people like you or not is irrelevant. And maybe you need to revise your work and career energies to be more true to you in a joyful way. And you'll be looking at that until September 4th. And then you may take action on it after that. And finally, the square to Jupiter can be some conflict with someone in a position of power in your workplace. And you may see some of that happening this summer, and you may spit out of that with a new job. You never know. Virgo, Sun, Moon, and especially rising sign. If you're in the live premiere and you have yet to hit my like button, will you do that? I really appreciate you helping the channel grow. The YouTube algorithm loves it when that like button is hit and my content is shared. And that I appreciate you for supporting me in my livelihood to get this thing into a full-time livelihood. It already is a full-time livelihood, but to continue to make it a more thriving and prosperous business. And on the next, because I love doing YouTube videos, and so to keep doing it I need my motivation. All right, moving onward. Virgo, my sister timestamps for me. Nancy timestamp now. Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. Venus, go back to 2015 June through to October. Last time she spent 4 months in Leo and did that retrogradation here. So we have her here again, June through to October, but the retrograde on the 22nd is what we're talking about of July brain come back on September 4th. It's definitely for Virgo rising about addictions, self-undoing and bad habits, bed pleasures and sexuality, and privacy, what you do in the privacy of your home, because that's where Venus is. Now here she does love her bed pleasures in retrograde. You might go back to some bed pleasures that you haven't had for a while, or to someone that you haven't bed pleasured with. But also, you might also be looking at, wow, I love my wine, my vape, my gluten, my ice cream too much. I mean, she's a goddess of pleasure, and she's been going through there in direct motion. I mean, seriously, since June 5th. Now on July 22nd, she's like, oops, let's turn it backwards. Let's reverse course. So if you've been overindulging in all kinds of pleasures and all of that, you're going backwards to revise that and maybe cool down your jets. You may also, because of this beautiful trine. All right. Okay. By the way, women from foreign lands or foreign shores may also be evident in your life during the retrograde that you haven't seen for a long time. But also you can see that Chiron and the cure for everything that ails you and the witch Circe of Greek mythology are in houses 4, 8, and 12. This trine is in moksha houses for deep soul work, spiritual liberation, psychological house cleaning, kind of gutting out the toxic waste or something in your family of origin, ancestral childhood experiences, and also in the place of forbidden secrets and forbidden topics and sexuality. Yeah, a lot going on here. A lot of you, if you're a Virgo rising, are dredging up things to do with the mother, the house of the family of origin, the things to do with your past and your childhood, in order to come out of this with less attachment and less overindulgence in your life. You tried to do this in 2015, right? It's back in the summer, but it's back again. This time, though, we have Chiron here for the first time, and look to mid-August to be a time of profound healing of the childhood wounds, of the addictive substances and patterns, and the self-undoing and self-sabotaging of your life. Now, because Venus is the dispositor or the owner of your earnings house, she's talking about letting go of the work or the process of making money in some way, but it's positive for you. If you work too hard, if you're earning money on the hustle and you're drained out, that's going to be a time to turn it off, turn it over, turn it around. And during the retrograde, Venus is giving you the ways and means and ideas, perhaps. Honestly, for a lot of you, Virgo's South Node transit through here is going to take you away from a current line of earnings and maybe tell you it's time to stop worrying about money and let it go, let God, let go. Because really the North Node through your 8th house will make you rich through other means, inheritances and tax rebates, insurance payouts, and spousal money. So, money is not going to be the main story, but you get the feeling of that on the 22nd of July through to September 4th, where some of this is becoming obvious to you. She's also Venus, the dispositor or the owner of your 9th house of God. This is academia. She squares that house, but it's still about action and decisions you might want to take in academic environments, book publishing, narratives, or the word foreign shores and lands. Sometimes when I see something like a Venus 12th and 9th, some of you may be thinking about moving to a foreign land as a Virgo rising, and foreign from your home country. But there's some tension here, and you may be making some executive decisions as September 4th rolls around, and now you know which direction to go on in about travel to foreign countries or moving to foreign countries. If you need to win in a legal matter, this can be an auspicious transit with Venus in the 12th, even though it's a square to Jupiter, but look for legal matters to more resolve in an auspicious way after September the 4th, as well as visas, FYI. Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, first of all, you're Venus ruled, right? Just like Taurus. So Venus is a big deal for you. You must pay attention to her retrogrades because you're ruled by her. And so let's go ahead and talk about what this might mean. Through June of this year, through to October, just like in 2015, you had a long transit of Venus through Leo, and it's back. And the retrograde this time on the 22nd of July through to October to the September 4th is happening yet again in your 11th house of good spirit. What is it that you're needing to, okay, first of all, an old friend, former friend, a friend from your past, or a group of belonging is returning. If you had quit like the book club, you might rejoin. If a friend from your past disappeared, he or she may come back. Same with elder siblings that you may have been out of touch with as a Libra rising. Also, the energy of Venus here can bring some money, luck, pennies from heaven, windfalls, or great gains from your career, promotions and raises, because she's connected to the gains of the 10th. However, she's retrograde, so there might be a pullback, there might be a reassessment around how those great gains, promotions, and raises should show up, or something along those lines. Your wishes and dreams are here, and she's about joy and pleasure. And you may be revising your hopes and wishes and dreams for your life to find a place of deeper joy rather than temporary pleasure. Sometimes it means just socializing with people from your past and having more social life connected to people from your past. That's all that could be as well as a general retrograde in the 11th theme. Yep. Now, also, Venus forms a grand trine with Circe the witch in your 3rd house of siblings, Circe the witch in the house of trips and travel, Circe the witch in the house of the online world and writing. And she's connecting it to what is the remedy, the cure-all, the panacea for what ails you in your marriage house. If you're a Libra rising, you're looking for the solution to your marriage woes. If you're single, you're looking for the solution to your singledom and why you're single. This is not too bad for online dating apps for single Libras because of Circe the witch in the 3rd house. Do you want to cast a spell using a dating app to bring you in the one you're here to meet? It might work. Now, Chiron in your 7th house is making your significant life in committed love since 2019 somewhat problematic as you try to heal some kind of wound about significant committed love stories. And there's something trying to really become whole and wholesome here for you. You're going to find the remedy to everything that ails you in your love life and committed love story. It's trying to do that. The sky is doing that. Even a trip or a getaway with the one you love that can come into being between July 22nd and September 4th could be very healing for that relationship. You also see that Venus is the ruler or dispositor of the house of your body, and she's coming from the 11th in a sextile. With the South Node going through the house of your body over the next 2 years, you may feel tired, depleted, or become ill. Take care of your health. This is true until January of 2025. Yet at this time, at the retrograde, she's talking to the South Node. She's telling you what you need to let go of for your better health in terms of friends, social groups, social settings, pleasures with friends, and also maybe your dreams and wishes for your greater career gains as well as, your life. Maybe you're overly ambitious and it's depleting you, and physically it's making you very tired or something like that. As well, she's a dispositor of the 8th house of inheritance money and gains from your significant, shared gains with your partner, like money you share with your business and love partners. Tax rebates and mortgages and more. So bottom line is that you might be finding, although there's some tension here between July 22nd and September 4th, by September 4th, you may have some significant new momentum going through your life to do with how you can create more, excuse my sound there, financial gain through other people's money and resources. Again, some of you could look at this as an opportunity for an inheritance because Venus is windfalls in a windfall house. But also you may find out a way to invest your money in the stock market by doing some research in order to create greater financial flow in your life during this retrogradation. There's another weird sidebar here. A friend could spill a secret that shocks you during the retrograde, but it will be actually ultimately good for you in your health and also maybe in your finances. Just an example. All right, if you're a Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign, this is an energy of Venus. Back in 2000, you saw her in your 10th house for 4 months back in 2015, June through October. She's back at the same time frame, June to October. She's glowing you up in the 10th house of reputation and career. Great time for raises and promotions and, awards in your career. As she goes retrograde, however, she's going backward And she's saying, well, let's revise this, let's rethink this. Now, it could be you're going to get an opportunity to go back to a job you've had before. A former employer wants to hire you, or you're going back over some kind of agreements regarding compensation or reputation, or you get a chance to be a micro celebrity in your career space as she goes retrograde in a way that you've experienced before. Okay? So something in my eye. Oh, we're going to get that out. Now, also, I'd say if you are looking at this as you're looking for a change of job, when Venus retrogrades, it's often good to look like through LinkedIn or whatever to places you've been and actually ask people from former colleague, coworker spaces whether there's openings there. Because a retrograde Venus in the 10th house is literally like, let's scour the past for an opportunity in your work, a new job, a new opportunity. And colleagues and coworkers from the past may just suddenly show up anyway. Venus forms a grand trine with the witch Circe in the house of money, time to cast a money spell, and Chiron, the cure for everything that ails you in the workhouse. Look at money and work magic as a result of this Kazemi. Come to my webinar. We're talking about how to make a magical talismanic moment from the sky and how to create some potent magic for you in this witchy second house of money as it pertains to career and earnings and livelihood stories. Now, there's a lot we can say about this remedy or cure for everything in your 6th house. There's a lot we could say, but one thing I probably would say that if there's been a pattern since 2019 of discontent in your work life that's even influenced your health, there's going to be a nice turnaround here at this particular Venus retrograde between the 22nd of July and September 4th. You can see that Venus is the dispositor or the ruler or the owner, therefore, of your 12th house. This is your house of your dreams at night and your backroom deals and negotiations, your foreign shores that you may visit, and also your own sabotaging, addictions, and self-undoing. Venus here in the 10th could be having you covertly do some negotiations for some better gains in your career, have you talking about getting into some kind of rehab facility, or even connections with foreigners that could advance your career in a positive way, but in a very karmic and destined way, even to the point where you feel like these foreigners are people you've known before, past life people. I wonder about Jupiter in your 7th, because she's the owner of your marriage house. And if you're a Scorpio rising, Jupiter's expanding your marriage. A lot of you are upgrading to living together, getting married, getting engaged since May, and this is through until next May. But then Scorpio rising, there's some tension between the workspace and your marriage house. And so you may temporarily experience some of this retrogradation as some conflict between the marriage partner type person, significant other, and what you're doing up there in your career and how much focus you're putting on it in some way. However, ultimately, this is a space to 7th house with Jupiter where you're thriving, and unexpected prosperity or outreach to clients, audience, marketplace, or connections to your significant love mate are all possible in the next year till next May. So this little bobble, it may just be that you have a lot going on at work and you're feeling a push-pull between the work environment and time in the spaciousness of your thriving and prosperous significant other. All right, Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign in your sky. Venus is yet again retrograding as she did back in 2015 in your 9th house of God. Let's go back a bit and remember that in June to October of 2015, she was here. So you might want to see what was going on there. It's always different, but there should be some similarities. And it's a retrogradation on the 22nd of the month of July through to September 4th that we are in focus here. And she's retrograding here. So you could go back and visit a country, a foreign land, or a foreign shore that you've been to before. Or you may revise a travel plan to be visiting a foreign land or foreign country. You may change your mind. Or foreigners, particularly women from other countries, are being very much brought back into the foreground, and you may be hearing from or connecting with those women or people that you enjoy that are residing in a country foreign to your birthplace. If you're in the book publishing industry, this can be very interesting because this could be going back to an old publisher, an old agent, a former person in that industry in order to affect some kind of good directions after September the 4th. It could even be doing revisions on a book. Some of you may revise your travel plans, as I said, might have some difficulties with a visa, get stalled. These are Venus retrogrades in the 9th. This is a Lakshmi and a money luck house. It's also a purpose and meaning house. Venus retrograde, let's revise the meaning and purpose of your life. Let's revise your religious beliefs and philosophies. Let's also look at how money luck can be made more available, but making some revisions here. Because there's a big grand trine to the witch in the house of you are the one with the wand, you're the spellcaster, you're the potion maker. And you can also say that the fifth house, what is the remedy and cure for everything that ails you regarding your children, your creativity, your inspiration, your play, your pleasure, and your sexuality, and your romance, all of those, and your entrepreneurial life, all of those under great healing witchery powers, especially on the onset of July 22nd, which is why if you come to my webinar, we're going to do a little magic together. You can heal something very profound with a relationship with a lover or child, or just your sexual and romantic life in general. You can also look at the dispositor story. So Venus is the dispositor or the ruler of your 11th Libra house. What are you having to let go of, surrender over the next 18 months, really, but starting now, that has to do with your visions, dreams, and goals for your life. Time to make revisions. You might have to surrender an elder sibling relationship. You may indeed lose an elder sibling. I'm not worrying you. I'm not saying you're going to lose your 10-year-old brother and your 5 listening to this. Let's be real. But South Node transit through the house of an elder sibling for some Sag risings can end a sibling relationship if it's an elder sibling. And for various reasons. But nonetheless, Venus here says, okay, there's a soft touch. We're trying to bring some flow to your dreams, wishes, and goals. We're trying to source them in the depths of your soul and your spiritual self. That's not about grasping and trying to get something, but letting go and surrendering and releasing South Node. So you have to release old goals in order to create new ones, basically. Your old visions and goals may not serve you, and some of your friendships may be leaving you, but it's for your highest good. It puts you in alignment with your path. You can also see that she disposits or owns or rules, the Taurus part of the story. That's your 6th house of health and work. So the work day, the colleague space, the co-worker space is coming into action. Some tension here. Opportunities may occur in the workspace and around you, even for you. But Venus is like, I want to get deep here. I want to find more connection to my soul. What's my true calling? What brings me meaning in life? But erratic change is definitely happening here because of Uranus. And you're going to have some exciting changes in the next year in your workspace and livelihood space. So get ready for that. But this is also potentially Venus saying, let's go deeper into that 9th house so that whatever work you're doing not only is prosperous, but meaningful. Capricorn, sun, moon, and especially rising sign, with Venus heading retrograde on the 22nd of July through to September 4th, as she did also in the summer of 2015. She's doing a 4-month stint here in your 8th house, by the way, as she did June through October of 15. You are having to revise your finances. You're looking at your 401k, your savings, your stock portfolio, your shared resources with a marriage type partner, your business partnership monies, your tax rebates, your taxes, your insurance policies. You're looking at all these other people monies, including mortgages, and you're assessing, reassessing. Venus retrograde is going back over old ground. You may reverse course on something. There's many stories you can make, but you may be reassessing, but also changing course. You thought you wanted to put all your money in that mutual fund, you're changing your mind. You thought you wanted to, spousal support, alimony, all of the legal matters of shared resources are being revised and re-looked at by a money goddess retrograding in a money house. What did you do in that area in 2015? And see if there's any similarities to what is going on here. So Venus forms a very beautiful grand trine with the witch Circe in your 12th house. Because the 8th house is occult mysteries, for some Caps, you might go into a deep dive and a deep study and deep wanting to learn occult mysteries and magic, because Circe's in a learning house as well. You also can create your magic from your dreams at night, your meditations, your deep shamanic trance states from hypnosis, any 12th house type of connection to the Akashic records, to the past lives, and all that is and ever will be. You can use your inner witch to do this. And also witches from foreign lands could be helpful here in helping you facilitate some kind of revision in your money story. With Chiron, all that ails you in the house of home, property, real estate, and homeland. You've been feeling out of sorts since 2019, like you don't know where you belong. Where do you nest and home yourself? And there's a healing coming through the sky for you in terms of healing this feeling of not knowing where your true belonging is in the world, where you live, the land you stand on. And you feel maybe finally that this could be, now I know where I belong. Don't forget, Chiron and the non-belonging wound of the fourth only started in 2019. You didn't have this wound in 2015 when this was happening. You will know that Venus is the dispositor. Oh, and inheritance money. I apologize. You can get inheritance money in this transit as well, especially from an elder sibling. I'll explain in another future orientation, but you're definitely looking at the potential of some kind of legacy wealth or inheritance money, bringing a remedy for lots of stuff that ails you, including the feeling of not being connected to a home that is the right home for you. As well, because Venus is the dispositor of the 10th house of career, you're letting go of your career, you're letting go of your visible reputation, you're letting go of some path that you've had before and it's no longer useful or viable. A lot of you might retire, you might change, because Venus is the house of retirement money. You might change your visible reputation. People saw you as a blank and now they'll see you as something else. This is true until January of 2025, really, and a little bit longer. South Node transit the 10th house, you're pulling away. I just went through this myself as Aquarius rising, and it's like why I'm not seeing many clients next year. But rather doing teaching and videos instead. But you can see that this pulling away, this dropping away in the 10th house is going to be all about getting into a deeper sense of divine flow, because the South Node is that sort of wisdom of the soul, the surrender to the divine intelligence. And you're doing that regarding career path and reputation. Venus is a dispositor of your 5th house, and that's of sexuality, romance, and children. A lot going on there for Caps, because you have like Jupiter there expanding your connection with children, entrepreneurship, money luck, and romance, and unexpected exciting developments have been going on there as well for the last few months. Now we get this energy of this Venus retrograde as the owner of your 5th house. And she says something like, yeah, and let's work out the details here of this children situation, romance situation, independent entrepreneurship situation regarding finances. It's not bad because Jupiter brings opportunity, and the square can just be about taking action. Is it time for me and my child or my romantic partner to buy a property or something like that? A critical, gritty action point is being activated between the 22nd of July and September 4th regarding those shared monies that are maybe with a child, for a child, or a romantic partner. I'm an Aquarius rising. If you're in the live premiere and you have yet to hit my like button, please do. I really appreciate that. Check my description box too, as you know, for everything I'm offering. Alrighty, don't forget the Venus webinar, the Venus retrograde webinar on July 21st. Well, first of all, this is an interesting one for us our Aquarius rising people. So go back to June of 2015 to October for Venus's 4-month stay in Leo. And then yes, a retrogradation that summer. The same energy's back this June to October, but with the retrogradation in July. She's stationing to retrograde at the 28th degree of Leo, and this is a place in your sky that you've experienced before. There is a lot of intensity here because there is the fixed star Regulus, and I will be talking about this in my webinar. But actually stationing retrograde and heading backwards in your 7th house of clients, audience, and other, as well as significant relationship partners, you're going backwards. You might be taking a time out. Now, I'll be literally telling you about how this works for me. I'm Aquarius rising. I start not working on July the 16th, and I don't work again until in September with clients, right? Well, of course, I'm going to take a time out as Venus retrogrades in the house of clients. But this means that old clients, former clients can come out of the woodwork and suddenly emerge in my life during that time. When it comes to love, the partner I'm with, I won't be around for a while because I'll be traveling, he'll be traveling, so it'll be a time out in a significant love relationship. Now, Venus retrograde can deepen those relationships to your significant other as well as you go below the surface, away from the temporary pleasures and joys of the surface of romance, and you take it down to a deeper notch. Go back to 2015 though, and what relationships went backwards in order to once again go forwards in your life, if any, clients, audience, significant others, etc. I had a falling out with the guru back then. Okay, I know it was a significant person in my life, right? A Jupiter character in my life that appeared during a Jupiter activation. And so I had a falling out. I left that guru behind. So you can leave behind significant people in your life. There's no doubt about it. But for the most part, a Venus retrograde can be very subtle here, and it may be going into a deeper layer of love and connection in significant relationships. But no doubt for some of you, you might change your mind about an existing relationship. You don't have to, but you could. That would be more true if that relationship started as Venus entered Leo, just so you know, which was June the 5th. Venus is forming a grand trine in the sky, and she's forming the grand trine with Circe the witch in the 11th house of friendship groups and belonging and allies, and also your wishes and dreams for your life, and a cure-all, a remedy for all that ails you in the house of short trips and travel, writing, creativity, projects, online world, siblings. And because Circe and this Panacea asteroid with Chiron are in the siblings houses, both are siblings houses, 11 and 3. There's a lot going on for you guys with siblings in this window of time, should you have siblings as an Aquarius rising. But you're definitely looking at the potential to bring some kind of communications project to a healing, a remedy that for everything, like finish writing a book or get your website redesigned or figure out new strategies in your online world. They bring greater gains to your career, from your career as well, because of course we have Circe in the great gains from your career house in terms of bringing greater money and revenue through your career path and changing the things as a remedy for everything in your online world. Maybe I'll create the single sales funnel that I can go to bed and rest at night and I make a ton of money while I'm sleeping. You never know. Venus is the dispositor of your 9th house of God. You're letting go of an old philosophy, a spiritual path, connections to foreigners and foreign lands, and the word international. You also may be letting go of some aspirations to do with your book publishing area of your life. Yeah, the South Node through here is a deeply spiritual transit. South Node can be a spiritual liberation, and it's in the house of God. So you may have a spiritual awakening process underway during this retrograde, but through a connection to a significant other, perhaps. As Venus is also the dispositor of your 4th house. Oh, and that's the house of foreign lands and foreign shores from your birthplace. So keep that in mind too. Significant relationships with foreigners going through a spiritual deepening. Venus is also the dispositor of your 4th house. This could be some change of home, change of property, change of land, and change of real estate. But you would do that through a partnership, especially a romantic one. You may make decisions to move closer to a partner, to a new home, even of homeland. This could be asked why the foreigner element is alive in the 9th house. Opportunities are here in abundance for you when it comes to property, land, home, and real estate, and legacy wealth all the way through to next May. And Venus is saying yes, and during this retrograde, July 22nd to September 4th, significant people may come up to you from your past, especially if they're clients, but also love relationships. There's a bit of tension here, but to put you on a path around more clarity, especially after September 4th, about where you wish to live, where you want to be ensconced in your home. Moving to the last sign today, which is Pisces rising, sun and moon. Well, Pisces, this is, by the way, Venus, who's the exaltation lord for your sign, happening to be traveling in your 6th house of health and work. Now, Venus retrograde in the house of health can be a return of an old health problem that's connected to overindulgence or over-pleasuring yourself in some way, but also you may find an enjoyable new way to be more healthy, but it's something from your past. Like you used to love to play racquetball, and now you're going back to do it, or so love to swim for health, and now you're going to go back and do it. But also colleagues, co-workers, and people you've known through your career and workspace may come out of the woodwork July 22nd to September 4th to be bringing you your attention to some opportunity in your career. Circe, the witch, is in the 10th house of reputation and career, and the remedy or cure-all for all that ails you financially in your earnings and resources is also available, especially mid-August. You're having a financial healing through the work and career path, and this beautiful trine can be used magically to create like a talisman or a spell, which we're going to be doing in my webinar on the 21st of the month of July, please join me in that deep dive 90-minute class for free. But for you, it's very powerfully connected to a healing of your wound. Since 2019, you've been money wounded. You're like, I'm leaking money, or I don't know where my money is, or where's my voice, vocation, and calling, or how come my voice, vocation, calling, reputation, money story is really effed up? To say it mildly, I know a lot of Pisces risings in the world. Like, they're all in the same conundrum. A lot of them are. And then basically what will happen is, this is going to be the remedy, the cure-all, the fix is coming in hot. All right, so look forward to that beginning on July the 22nd at 40 days. You'll see the full momentum after September 4th, but you'll see the cure in that window of time. And then at last, but not least, you have this your stock investments, your inheritance money, your legacy wealth from your family, your shared resources with a significant other. This is your 8th house money. Your attention's being drawn there by this Venus retrograde, but in a flowing way. But there's a lot of let go, let God. You're going to be asked to get your hustle on in the next 2 years, not to rely on your savings, your stock investments, your 401k, your inheritance monies, but rather all Pisces are being asked to push forward into a calling in this life, to have a voice or a vocation that you're here to express that brings you revenue and earnings directly. So Venus is touching a little bit on that. You might experience a letting go through a loss financially connected to your 8th house. On the other hand, she could eliminate a debt, and she may help you pay off a debt during this retrograde. She's also the dispositor of the owner of your 3rd house, and a lot of you are going to find great positive things happening in trips, travels, online world, creativity, communication, and writing, and sibling connections. Very sudden and unexpected even events here between now and the end of next May, basically. But this one time, Venus is talking to Jupiter in a square. It's gritty action and decisions need to be made around travel, about sibling stories, about work, about money. All this stuff is up. And I think the retrogradation can bring you some pivot points. We're going to do the whole Jupiter-Venus square story, because that would have been June 11th, August 22nd, September 17th in my webinar. So you can put those dates in your calendar, understand what they're really about. But by September 17th, there are some decisions and actions being taken to do with travel, learning, the online world, siblings, connected to work and livelihood, and ultimately to perhaps some financial success through voice and vocation and calling. All right, thanks for listening, Pisces. This was a short version of what can be a hugely deep dive into this very complex and interesting Venus retrograde. If you are new to my channel and you made it this far, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to check my description box for whatever ails you. Thank you again to all of my regulars who might still be in the live with me. If I forgot your name in the shout out, Bold and Beautiful Tarot, Purple Table Tarot. Who else are you guys? I always forget everybody, but thank you for listening. I so appreciate your contribution to my channel, and it is deeply, deeply appreciated. I'm grateful. Thanks. Happy Venus retrograde. Take care and join in the webinar for free. By the way, I can only sign up 500 people and then I max out. And I had 325 people at my last live free webinar. So I'm not saying I'm going to get 500 this time, but if you really want to take it, you get the free replay after anyway. So come jump on in. Ciao, everybody.